Here at the Canadian and Australian Roundtable on Indigenous Health and Wellbeing. Can you introduce yourself for us, Joe?
Yeah, I'm Joe Williams. I'm a Wiradjuri man born in Cowra but raised in Wagga and spent a bit of time all over the country pretty much and overseas. But a Wiradjuri man always, and Cowra and Wagga boy at heart.
Fantastic. So we're here at the Roundtable and I'm just wondering what you think the significance of this event is.
It's been fantastic. There's a lot of like-minded people coming together and talking about research, but I guess first and foremost, but I guess the underlying thing that we're seeing a lot throughout the day is that the conversation on the ground has to be listened to forever. That we know the impacts of our people, or we know that the problems with our people that have been faced with in the past, and programs and so forth that have been implicated on the ground haven't been working. It's that simple. Now it's how, and a great comment in the last session was raised when it was said, how bad do our people have to get? How our health outcomes for people to start taking notice. Our people are jumping up and down and wanting the help and know how to get the help. It's just whether the pen pushers and the people who sign the checks will listen.
Absolutely. And actually there was something that was said this morning, and I'm not sure if you were in the room at the time, but there was a conversation about, or a comment that was made about lived experience, that our mob knows the lived experience of this, which is one of the reasons why we should be dealing with this, with our issues. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, for sure. I'm clearly I'm not an educate. I've got a background in sport, but I've lived my entire life in communities. I've worked in communities and I've had great success in communities working with people because I can relate to the people. I know the struggles that they go through because I went through it myself growing up in a rural town. So it's easy to sit back from the outside and look, or even from above, and look at a situation with certain communities and say they need this, they need that. We've heard it all 100 times before, but it's how to implement those programs or that funding for such communities. Every community is different. There's not one fix for all communities. So it was great to get a huge dynamic from, I guess, people from right across the country with different experiences, different ages as well, that can have a different input on the positive and beneficial outcomes for our people.
And I think one of the things that was really important today was what you said was around, every community is different and it's actually needing community-led solutions, and that seemed to be echoed both in Canada and here in Australia as well. So that was something again that I thought was really important, and it's great to have people like yourself at these events because we need to have the researchers, the policymakers, but also the people who are working in community for community. So
our native people, First Nations people in Canada and our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people out here in Australia, we're all one people as far as native people right across the world. So you'll notice that the impact of colonisation has had on our people is there's similar effects right across the globe. So what works for us, I guess, as a whole, may work for the native Canadians as well, because as I mentioned, we're all the same people. So no matter where I travel throughout the world, I notice that one common narrative throughout with all of our people is that it's colonialism that has had the most impact on our people. So how we adapt from that and move forward is learning to walk in two worlds. The positives of traditional culture, bring that back into a modern way of society. That's where I honestly believe is one of the key important positives moving forward.
Picking up the point you just made, Alex Brown actually said he feels most comfortable when working with and around Indigenous peoples from all around the world, and I have to say I feel the same. There is a much stronger connection with other Indigenous peoples than there often is with non-Indigenous people, although there are some fantastic non-Indigenous people that I connect quite well with. A lot of the Croaky mob, for example.
Yep.
So I think there is both. But I know we're going to get locked in here if we don't wrap up pretty quickly. So I just want to ask one last question. What do you think what would be your one take-home message? There's been a lot of conversations, but if there was one thing that really stood out for you today, what would that be?
As hard as it's going to be, because it's such a huge geographic as far as Australia and Canada, the one thing I can urge our policymakers and writers to look at is to listen to the people. You know, we're losing lives, You know, our incarceration rates are going up. Our deaths are getting younger. Every statistic is an actual person.
Yeah.
So we have to start listening to people, because what has been written in the past doesn't work. I had a comment on Twitter. If you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always got.
Yeah.
And that's not working. So.
And these are our lives. These are our brothers, our cousins, our mums and our dads. And
whether they're from Canada or from Australia, they're our native people. They're our family.
Yeah. And people sometimes wonder, why are we so passionate? Why are we angry? Because this is real. This is touching our lives.
100%.
It's not a number in a book. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.